Good evening and welcome to this special edition of Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Mitchell Zimmerman. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, we take a look back at the stories from the Sports Bureau, from Premier League soccer fans here in the Valley to the rise of pickleball.
At 8:30 in the morning, the city of Phoenix was buzzing with enthusiastic sports fans, but they weren't watching from Chase Field or Footprint Center. I got the chance to check out two bars that are keeping the game of soccer alive across the valley. Stop and ask yourself where you are. By the look and sound of it, you're in the heart of England. But walk outside the doors of the Crown House and you're in the heart of downtown Phoenix. It's game day in the city, where Liverpool FC takes on Manchester City. And while the game is being played over 5,000 miles away, two bars are watching as if they were there. Many supporters of the two clubs have attended an actual game across the pond. They say the atmosphere inside the bar draws a close feeling of being there.
It's almost like you're at a game. I've been at Anfield several times and atmosphere it comes close, especially when you've got this many people here and there's some proper diehard supporters in there.
In the sea of red stands a few rather brave Manchester City fans. C.W. Brock was around a lot of angry faces when his team scored first.
So, it was funny. It took a moment when everybody else was loud to celebrate, and when they got quiet, I got quiet.
Only a few blocks down, the reaction was far from quiet.
Soccer has enough people that dislike the sport here in the United States, so we really try to build that with the other groups here in the Valley. We really want to bring people together through soccer.
Nick Rowan is one of the leaders of the Desert Blues, a group dedicated to supporting Manchester City in Arizona. The reach of the club spans as far as Manchester itself.
These guys have actually got a flag in the Manchester City ground. It says Desert Blues on it, and I'd always wondered who they were. So I thought when I was in Phoenix I would just Google it, see what was around. So I just walked down here this morning.
By the look and sound of it, it's clear that soccer is here to stay in the city of Phoenix, even if it means growing the sport one game and one goal at a time.
Baghdad is a small mining community in northwestern Arizona and has one of the top 1A high school baseball teams in the state. Cronkite News reporter Hayden Weber introduces us to pitcher Connor Watson, who put the Copper State on notice with a historic no-hitter streak.
With plenty of high school baseball talent across the board in Arizona, no one has been able to accomplish what Baghdad pitcher Connor Watson did over the stretch of 4 straight starts. He threw 4 consecutive no-hitters, a feat that few believe has ever been done.
Oh no, I've never came close to that, but I have dreamed of it.
The streak came to an end at 4 against Benjamin Franklin High School, but Watson collected a pair of hits and 2 RBI in the game, showcasing his versatility. Not only is he a force on the mound, but he can also swing the bat and play behind the plate.
I do take pride in it. I just try to focus. No, I don't try to focus on one simple thing. I try to focus on both of them at the same time. That way I stay consistent with both of them.
3 of Watson's no-hitters were caught by one of his best friends, Keeland Lucero. Head coach Dalton Mills has seen the two grow up together, improving their chemistry over time.
Since they're in elementary school, I've seen them growing up playing Pop Warner, youth baseball together. So I've known them for quite a while. I also coach football. They're quarterback, running back combo too.
Coach Mills believes his team has adopted the blue-collar attitude of its community. The team remains focused on the task at hand, and that's to return right here to Tempe Diablo Stadium to compete for and win the state championship.
We're a good team. We have a lot of energy. We come out and play hard, and I think we can take it this year for sure.
Winning the championship would cap off a special season for Watson and the Sultans, who caught the attention of the entire state with their play. In Tempe, Hayden Weber, Cronkite News.
You may not have heard the name Justin Henley before, but the Chandler native was once an Olympic hopeful in the world of BMX. Cronkite News reporter Tyler Bender gives you a closer look into the life of an international competitor.
Justin Henley started riding at SB Bike Park in elementary school. He had no idea how that first ride would change his life.
I went to a private school for my first and second grade years, and I met a kid who I became really good friends with. As soon as I was talking to him, he kind of got me out to the BMX track, and I started racing at the age of probably 8.
Justin's dad, Robert, said he was surprised when his son first wanted to race.
He didn't tell me he wanted to get into BMX. We were at a campground, like a KOA in San Diego, and we had these jumps, and he was jumping them, and so I could tell that he was really into it.
Justin quickly soared up the ranks of the BMX scene, going from a novice to a national rider in no time.
Usually it takes about a couple years in each division to get to, expert, but for me, I was from beginner to expert in less than a year. I was beating everybody at my track, so that's kind of what, told me that, hey, I should take this to the national level.
Which he did, and performed so well, Justin was given the opportunity to represent the United States internationally.
When I was 12, I went to London and I placed 3rd in the World Championships. It's just a surreal feeling. It's a natural dopamine that you can't get from anything else, and I just can't believe that, I had the chance to do that.
Justin's success made him an Olympic hopeful, getting an invite to a private camp when he was 15. But an injury stalled his career after he broke his arm.
It was really hard to kind of keep up with everybody, having a broken arm. Did just about everything I could, but it just wasn't enough to get an invite back. So that's where I kind of stopped taking it seriously, and then I just did it for fun.
Though his competitive days of riding are over, Justin still finds time to come back to his roots and enjoy his passion. From Chandler, Tyler Bender, Cronkite News.
Her passion for sports and boosting programs has landed this Phoenix native a top spot at GCU. Cronkite News reporter Zachary Larson has more on the new athletic director at Grand Canyon University.
Just 3 miles north of Grand Canyon University is where athletic director Jamie Boggs grew up. After several years at Duke and Georgia State, she found herself back in Phoenix, doing what she loves.
I remember growing up, the only thing I ever really loved was sports. If you're from Phoenix, and most of us here grew up diehard Phoenix Suns fans, and so I was a Phoenix Suns fan. I decided that I was going to pursue that and maybe not use my psychology degree or my law degree.
Boggs was brought to GCU in 2015 as a deputy athletic director. After leading Georgia State's effort to elevate the school's football program to bowl eligibility, now she's tasked with transitioning GCU from a Division II school to a Division I.
Jamie is unbelievable in terms of what she does behind the scenes to give the athletes and this university the best experience possible, whether they're here for 4 or 5 years. That's what's in the forefront of her mind.
Boggs has hired 3 new head coaches, including men's basketball coach Bryce Drew, who helped the school to its first WAC championship and first ever NCAA tournament appearance in 2021.
Being a coach and then, having an athletic director that really knows the industry, that knows the school, she's been very helpful to me. Again, above all that stuff, I think her moral compass and her beliefs fit perfectly with GCU.
Boggs became the school's first woman named vice president of athletics in April 2021 and is one of 3 female Asian American athletic directors at the Division I level, a feat she hopes will inspire others to be in her shoes one day.
I realize now, and I'm very intentional about making sure that I guess it's not, I wouldn't say pressure, but just being very intentional about, supporting women and minorities who are also looking to be in the athletics director role.
With numerous conference championships since her arrival, the next step is to turn those wins into national championships one day. In Phoenix, Zachary Larson, Cronkite News.
The sport of women's college triathlon hit a landmark point in growth with the announcement of the 40th collegiate program. Cronkite News reporter Connor McGill looks into what this means for the 5-time defending national champs out of Arizona State University.
Women's triathlon became an NCAA emerging sport in 2014. A year later, ASU started its program. And in 7 short years, the Sun Devils have dominated the sport, winning 5 women's triathlon collegiate national titles.
I'm not going to say we're in Alabama yet, but, when people are like, man, I want to go to that school, because of their program. And, it's definitely a really nice bonus. And, it also makes you feel like you're doing the right thing and doing a good job.
Despite ASU's success, triathlon has yet to become an NCAA championship sport, a distinction that requires at least 40 collegiate programs. In February, Cal Poly Humboldt brought it into fruition, Now that women's triathlon has proven sustainability at the varsity level, the Sun Devils are hoping it will get the NCAA stamp of approval.
It's really fun because you see the progression and you're part of it. And I think like triathlon is honestly like the best sport you could ever have because you're practicing 3 sports in one. It's always challenging, there's always new things to focus on, and it's a growing sport.
ASU head coach Cliff English thinks the sport will reach championship status within 18 months. But with more programs means more competition for the Sun Devils, a challenge which they welcome.
It's definitely really exciting, but we're also very much living in the moment because we're like, yeah, it's NCAA sport. That means we have more competition coming in soon, so we need to make sure that we're still in shape and ready to defend our title.
As they wait for the chance to play for an NCAA title, the Sun Devil squad is eager to be a part of the continued growth of the sport. In Tempe, Connor McGill, Cronkite News.
Coach Cliff English hopes within the next 18 months, triathlon will become a sanctioned NCAA championship sport.
2 Tempe sisters spent their entire lives playing together on the pitch, but their shift is focused now to a different type of pitch. Cronkite News reporter Zachary Larson tells us how these 2 sisters are helping one another on the Valley baseball team.
Amy and Kaylee Gonzalez have been playing sports together their entire lives. The sisters played soccer at Tempe Prep and figured they had played their final game together last fall, since Amy is graduating.
We were like, oh, this is our last sport we're ever gonna play together. Like, this is our last thing we're ever gonna do together.
But little did they know they'd be back on the field again, the baseball field. After having 22 players on last year's team, baseball coach Brad Sullivan found himself with just 11 players on the roster to begin the season.
Get out of the way, David. We weren't going to Florida. And so I talked to their dad and Kaylee before one of the games. And I said, hey, would you guys be willing to come out and, try out? And they laughed. Oh, coach is just goofing on us, And I was like, I'm not smiling. We need you.
Amy and Kaylee had never played baseball before, or softball for that matter. But their brother David, who plays on the team, has helped them navigate the sport.
David's been playing baseball since he was really little, so we always just go out front and throw the ball around, but I've never really played softball or anything.
The addition of the Gonzalez sisters has paid off, as the team is currently in contention for a 1A playoff spot. They can both pinch run, play the outfield, and even get some at-bats.
I've never coached a team, and I've been coaching for 20 years, 15 years at the high school level. We've never had a girl on the team, but they've all embraced it. They came out and they went through the whole thing and just got better every day.
Despite being the only girls on the team, the support shown from their teammates has made the experience worth it.
They've all been amazing. They've all been really supportive of me. I don't have a glove still. I use somebody's glove every game. They all give me their glove. They help me out when I need it. They give me tips and tricks. They do whatever they need. They explain things to me, but they're very good about just making me feel a part of the team.
Amy and Kaylee hopes that their experience will show that other girls can play baseball just like them. In Mesa, Zachary Larson, Cronkite News. Carter Bailey, a junior at Mountain Point High School, is only beginning to make a name for himself in the baseball world. Cronkite News reporter Anya Rogers goes in depth to see how he became the player he is today.
Mountain Point shortstop Carter Bailey is always learning, growing, and understanding new facets of the game. However, he didn't just become a baseball player, he was born one.
We couldn't wait. We lasted 5 minutes and we're like, okay, we gotta pull over. Where should we go? We have to go somewhere special. So we went to where the Diamondbacks play. We went there and we opened it up, but before we did, I thought, if it says it's a boy, I know this kid's gonna be a ball player if he wants to be. I know that he's gonna make it. And sure enough, we opened the envelope and it said it's a boy.
Anna Bailey believes that Carter's love and passion for baseball has always been a part of his soul.
Always through my life, I've kind of always been the short kid on the field, so kind of just having to play the hardest and work the hardest has always been something that's been naturally a part of my game.
He always stays after practice or after a game to get some extra swings in if he wants, and which is above and beyond, and it shows in game.
As a junior already committed to Cal Berkeley, Carter believes that the biggest things he's bringing to the team are his bat and his energy.
So Carter is definitely a high-energy player. He lives and breathes and dies off his energy that he has out there. So he always has a ton of it. He's always trying to get everybody up around him, and a lot of the team really feeds off of what he can bring to the table.
However, Carter also believes that it's not just about baseball.
it's more academics first, especially for my family as well. I'm not just going there to play baseball. I'm going there to get a degree and hopefully get a job out of there as well, whether that's baseball or academic-wise, whatever it may be.
Through all of his achievements, Carter says that while it's cool to see your name on a list, it's more important to recognize your full potential and never stop working towards it. In Phoenix, Anya Rogers, Cronkite News.
Mesa High School announced a new head coach for their wrestling program, and he may be a familiar face for Arizona State fans. Cronkite News reporter Shane Fricke has more on this former ASU national champion who's taking over the program.
After head coach David DiDomenico announced his plans to retire after the 2021-2022 season, Mesa needed to find someone to replace him. Luckily for them, two-time high school state champion and NCAA champion Anthony Robles was ready to take on that role.
We're extremely excited. We really are. I think this is such an opportunity. Anthony wants to be here in a head coaching capacity. Kids really look up to him, and they'll go through a wall for him.
After graduating in 2011, Robles wrote a book and began touring the U.S. as a motivational speaker. He was able to inspire people all around the nation, but now he's excited to motivate the athletes at his alma mater.
I love wrestling so much. I love Mesa High School, and so I knew that I wanted to be that positive role model for the next generation coming up.
Robles also brings a reputation, and some athletes may treat him as a celebrity. But Robles wants his athletes to understand that he's here to coach them and be there for them.
This isn't about me. This isn't about what I've done. I'm here for you. I'm here to be your coach. I'm here to help you reach your goals.
Robles' background as a national champion and motivational speaker will help him teach lessons to the students of Mesa High on and off the mat for years to come. In Mesa, Shane Fricke, Cronkite News.
With the growing popularity of pickleball, many are finding a passion in the new opportunities for team-based play. Cronkite News reporter Anya Rogers sees just how the sport is expanding.
The 2022 state championships, hosted by the Arizona Pickleball Players League, brought together teams and fans from different regions to play and celebrate the sport they love.
This is our, I think, third year doing the championships, and they're getting better and better every year. We've got swag for the players. They get tags, they get hats, the champions get hats. So we're just continue to grow it, and it's going to get bigger and bigger.
We're looking forward to not only doing this, but ultimately then our state champions will play another state's champions and carry on in that process to the extent someday we'll be talking about national championships for team-based league pickleball.
It's not just the sport nor the competition, it's the team play aspect that makes these players love the game of pickleball even more.
We're playing with a team where we show up every week with 6 players. The sense of camaraderie is just something else. I haven't experienced that in this game. I play tournaments, but you're pretty much on your own. Play rec play, you're on your own with your buddies, but the camaraderie, the team efforts that it takes to play in the Apple League is just something else that most of us couldn't have imagined before.
What I love about team-based pickleball is I love community. And each team is its own little community. Each team lifts each other up, and they get together and they fight for a championship.
Team-based pickleball has made the sport more competitive, supportive, and fun. Teams look forward to winning together and rooting for each other with goals of competing together for state and national titles. In Casa Grande, Anya Rogers, Cronkite News.
Sports gambling is growing across the country, and most professional athletes are prohibited from betting on themselves or their sport, but not in MMA. Cronkite News reporter Parker Dunn caught up with an Arizona fighter who used people's betting against him, and that's why he bets on himself.
In each of his last 3 fights, professional MMA fighter Austin Worms was an underdog on just about every sportsbook. Worms was aware of this and remained unfazed, defying the odds each time he stepped into the cage, because to him, this is nothing new.
I've been the underdog my whole life, as far as sports. As a kid, I was never the most athletic, but I always had a good work ethic. I was always picked last in dodgeball, but then I'd be the last dude in there. I'm used to being the underdog. I like it, I embrace it.
Worms enjoys being an underdog because it allows him to make money by betting on himself, since professional fighting organizations such as the LFA allow fighters to bet on themselves to win.
This past fight, I put money down on myself. My paycheck gets that much better at the same time. So I'm totally cool being the underdog. If they keep letting me be the underdog, I'll take it, just because it's a better payout for me.
One of Worms' favorite things about being an underdog is that it gives him the opportunity to showcase his skill set and silence a crowd cheering against him.
It's the best. I remember my pro debut, I fought a dude who was 3-0, My amateur record wasn't the best, so they're like, okay, this is a feed me fight. I end up armbarring the guy in about a minute. The whole crowd was just quiet because they're all there for him.
Worms feels he turned the corner in his career because of the change he made to the mental aspect of his fighting.
They don't know my mind state. That's one thing you can't put in the books. This 3-fight win streak, my mind, complete another level than I was just a couple years ago.
Sportsbooks take into account many different factors when determining betting lines for a fight. But unlike wins and losses, one thing that cannot be determined by a statistic is the determination to win in the cage, regardless of who he is facing. In Surprise, Parker Dunn, Cronkite News.
The Geico High School National Tournament is underway, and AZ Compass Prep is ready to make a championship run. Cronkite News reporter Anya Rogers sees how the boys varsity basketball team is preparing for their competition.
With 8 players going to Division I programs next year, the AZ Compass Prep Dragons are competing in the Geico High School National Tournament as the only team from Arizona.
Just trying to get ready to go to Fort Myers and win 3 games and win a national championship, something that's never been done in the state of Arizona.
Coach Ed Gibson says that the Dragons have really been connecting and vibing, creating their own team culture.
Just as a team, we play defense. We're going to get out on the court. We're just going to play hard, play together, play smart.
The Dragons will open at the Geico Nationals against Montverde of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the same team they lost to in the semifinals last year.
It's almost like a little rivalry now because we played them twice last year. We both of them, one game went into overtime, and the other one we lost on a 3-pointer that we missed. So it's going to be a good game. They're a great coach team. They got a lot of former guys that's in the NBA, and we're trying to make a name for ourselves, so it's going to be good.
They have the top players in the class, Derek and all that. So right now we're trying to work on our defense, make sure we're pressuring the ball, stuff like that, and executing really.
The Dragons started their season ranked number 1 in the country and are currently ranked number 7, but ready to end number 1 at Nationals. In Chandler, Anya Rogers, Cronkite News.
College golf's regular season is coming to a close as teams get set to potentially play in the NCAA tournament. But as Cronkite News reporter Ashley Engel tells us, some are preparing for the biggest tournament of their amateur golf careers.
When one thinks of Augusta, they may think of the Masters. But what Arizona State women's golfers Ashley Menny and Alexandra Fursterling think of is playing at the Augusta Women's Amateur on the unforgettable course.
It's a really great opportunity to actually go there and experience the whole situation.
Fursterling has been dreaming of playing at Augusta for as long as she can remember. Finding out that she achieved her goal to play in the ANWA was the highlight of her year.
I worked towards that goal and I'm happy that I could achieve it.
Alongside the senior, Ashley Menny will be by her side teeing it up in Georgia, with this being her second year as a Sun Devil golfer. With the selection pool being small, Menny was excited to know she would turn her dream into a reality this early in her amateur career. With this being both Menny and Fursterling's first time heading to Augusta, the two are glad that they have one another to cheer each other on, one swing at a time.
It's nice to have someone that you can definitely rely and count on in the field with you. It's going to be fun. We're definitely going to have a great experience together for sure.
The ANWA is no stranger to the Sun Devil golf team, as they have sent other players to Augusta before. With the ANWA being right before conference play and the NCAA National Championship, Coach Farkay wants Menny and Fursterling to focus on Augusta.
Enjoy every minute, because even just, it really is the one rare occasion where really just being invited and playing is one of the coolest things ever that they will have in their resume for the rest of their lives.
With the players' hard work paying off, both Menny and Fursterling will have a terrific experience at Augusta. In Tempe, Ashley Engel, Cronkite News.
And there's nothing like caffeine and classic cars to start a morning. And for one Scottsdale coffee shop, it's a weekend tradition that draws big crowds for car owners across the West Coast. Cronkite News reporter Andrew Kurland has the story.
Cars and coffee. It's a combination that unites hundreds on a weekly basis at 4 Till 4 Coffee Shop in Scottsdale. Every Saturday, owners and fanatics of classic cars flock to the streets outside of 4 Till 4, gearing up for an event filled with fast cars and caffeine. Every week has a special theme.
This is vintage 4 cylinders, playing on the 4 and the 4till4 and everything else that we do with the brand.
Nico Samaras is the owner of 4till4 and started the Cars and Coffee Weekends almost 7 years ago.
From day one, we started with old Porsches. That was my background. And next thing you know, it's just kind of turned into a little bit of everything. So now we mix it up with different types of cars, feature different cars on different weekends. And yeah, it's just kind of a madness.
Some weekends pull crowds upward of 100 cars. Owners from as far as Telluride will make the trip. It's Mia Agilian's job to manage it all.
Seem to come from all over. Yeah, there was a guy who drove 500 miles yesterday just to come out to the event today, and we get a lot of people from California, Southern Arizona, all around the West Coast areas.
There are a lot of regulars who attend the Cars and Coffee events. Jim Vorowski is one of them, and today he brought his Porsche that he bought all the way back in 1983. For Vorowski, it's the car community that keeps him coming back.
And the culture is that people love cars, and it doesn't make any difference if it's a new car or an old car like this one, or one that's, you know, maybe beat up a little bit, but the person loves the car. It's just a fever, I guess, for folks that enjoy cars. I owned my first car at 13, and that's a long time ago.
It's a culture, and it all comes down to two simple things: cars and coffee. In Scottsdale, Andrew Kurland, Cronkite News.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. And for top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.